Hey everyone, it's Megan. I am back in my library today and I'm so excited. Of course, I'm a high school librarian if you haven't seen my channel before, and we have been virtual, but now I'm back and I'm ready to actually film some videos in this library. We're going to talk today about some books that I think are the ones that I really wish I had gotten to in 2020, but I'm definitely going to get to in 2021, and I discovered all of these because of Booktube. I don't know much about them, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to just tell you what I do know. All right, so let's get started. Okay, book number one is the Foundry Side series by, I believe, Robert Jackson Bennett. I realized I did not write down the author's names of these, so you might just have to look on the book cover here, but I do remember the author of this one. I know there's two of them. There's Foundry Side and Shorefall. I know that it has to do with the thing called scriving, where like it's a magic system. Obviously it's fantasy. It's a world where you can like command objects to do things, basically. I think that sounds like a pretty cool premise. I know that there's a heist story involved, and that's all I know, and that people absolutely love it. So this is definitely on the top of my list. I checked it out from our public library, and then I just never got around to it. So hopefully I will in 2021. Okay, next on the list is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is going to be a trilogy. I know that there's a second one called Jade War. All I know is that it's sort of like, it's very like, I don't know, based on like Chinese culture, I guess, but it's like maybe a fantasy world that is similar to China. I'm just totally just making all this up, honestly, but this is what I remember from everybody talking about it on Booktube. And it sounded cool because it's about people that literally like consume jade, I guess. And so everybody wants jade because I think maybe it gives you some powers or something. And there's basically like a gangster mafia style like war going on, and there's like warring families. I believe it's very, people compared it to like The Godfather, but with like a little bit, I guess, more lighthearted, I guess, than The Godfather, but it's kind of like that. So I'm super intrigued. I'm going to check this one out. Everybody talks about it. It is on the top of my list. And once again, I only discovered it because of Booktube. Next on the list is The Starless Sea. I believe this is by, oh gosh. Starless Sea. No, I don't know who it's by. So you'll have to see on the cover here. But, oh no, Morgenstern? Aaron Morgenstern? I'm going to guess that. We'll see if I'm right. But this is also like a trivia game. Can I guess the author, I guess? All I know is that it's about a boy. I know it's got a bumblebee or something on the front cover. And I know it's about a boy who like finds his name in a book or something. Maybe he's young, maybe he's in graduate school. I can't really remember if he's a little kid or if he's in graduate school. I don't know why I'm thinking it's one or the other. And he finds his name in a book, and there becomes a whole like mystery about that. And that just sounds super cool because I love that premise and I love anything about books. So it sounds like this could really go a lot of places, and I know people absolutely love it. So I think it sounds like it could be one of my new favorites. All right, next on the list is the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I remember that. And the first one I know is called The Blade Itself. I don't know what the rest of them are called, but I know that people say it is what they call grimdark fantasy. I love Game of Thrones, so I'm guessing that's considered grimdark. I can't imagine anything grimmer and darker really than Game of Thrones, and I love that series, so I'm pretty sure I could read Joe Abercrombie. I also know that he is pretty funny, and so if there's actually some humor in his writing to kind of break up all the serious dark fantasy stuff, then I think that'll be probably pretty good. He sounds pretty sarcastic. I watched an interview with him once, and he seems like a really funny, cool dude. So people say this is like one of the best series they've ever read, and I never even heard of it until Booktube. So I'm definitely going to get around to at least reading the first one next year. I guess the first one of all of these, and whichever one I like, I will continue. Okay, next on the list is The Lies of Locke Lamora by, I'm going to say Scott Lynch, but I'm not sure, but I think so. I know that this is a series, I think, as well. I don't remember what the other ones are called. I believe there's 3, and that the 4th one either just came out or there's a 4th one coming out really soon because people have been talking about it again. But I know it's like a merry band of criminals, kind of a heist story again. He sounds kind of like Robin Hood from what I gather. I think it's fantasy. I think it's set in another world, but I could be wrong. It could be set in our world. I'm not really sure. Go look it up. Maybe you can decide that you want to read this book too. Like I said, I think it would just be fun for me to tell you what I remember from Booktube. But everybody talks about it. One of my favorite Booktubers, this is her favorite series of all time ever. Murphy Napier, if you want to go look her up. This is her favorite series. So we'll see if I like it as well. But I know there are a lot of other Joe Abercrombie books set in, I think, the same world. Maybe not. But I know that everybody loves all of them. So maybe I will too. Okay, next is the Poppy War series. Everybody is talking about this. Like, if I hear the Poppy War again, I think I'm going to go nuts. All I know is that it's pretty dark, it's pretty serious, and it is also based on like the opium wars, I guess, like in real life, but there's like a lot more to it, and I think it's fantasy, but I don't know if it's like more like urban fantasy and it's set in like our real world or not. I want to say it is, but I could be wrong. And I know there's three of, I can even tell you the names, I bet, because everybody talks about them. The second one is called The Dragon Republic, and the third one is called The Burning God. And I know this because they're talked about so much. So I'm going to check out the Poppy War. I think it's by R.F. Kuang, I want to say is how you say it. And everybody's been talking about it constantly. I really am almost sick of hearing about it. So I guess I'm going to check out the Poppy War and see why everyone is rating it 5 stars. Okay, the next books I want to read are by the same author. I definitely want to read the Vicious series, which I think there's only 2, Vicious and Vengeful maybe, by V.E. Schwab. And then I also want to read the Darker Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab. And I just know that everybody talks about this V.E. Schwab, aka Victoria Schwab. I think she uses one name if it's an adult book and one name if it's a, like Victoria is if it's a young adult book, and V.E. Schwab is if it's a adult book. And of course, everybody talks about this Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I have no interest in reading because I've heard about it too much now. But I do want to read these 2 other series, these older series that she has. They just sound super intriguing. I don't know much about Vicious, except it's about 2 guys who basically become superhuman. Like, they get superhuman powers, they give it to themselves, and they become mortal enemies, and it's like them just warring with each other. That's all I remember about that one. And let's see, the other series. What's the other series? Oh, Darker Shade of Magic. I know there's like 4 different Londons. I remember them talking about that. There's like a gray London, like a red London, a black London, and maybe white London or something. And like each London, one has magic, one's like being torn apart by magic. Black London's like already been destroyed by magic or something. And there's different, that's all I know. Don't know who the characters are, don't know what happens. I just know there's different Londons, 4 of them, and they sound really cool. So I have apparently missed out on V.E. Schwab for a long time, and I'm going to try her out and see how it goes. All right, just a couple more that I would like to get to. The Grisha trilogy, I believe that's by Leigh Bardugo. Shadow and Bone, is that the first one? I don't know, something like that. I don't know what it's about. I think it's like a very character-driven story from what I hear. I think it's about a bunch of people doing something together. That doesn't make any sense, but I know it's like a group of characters that have to do something and come together. I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I know that everybody talks about it constantly, so I'm going to read it. The other series I want to get to is the Black Prism series by, I believe it's Brent Weeks is his name. Everybody talks about Black Prism. I know it's a fantasy series with the magic systems based on color, something about colors, and that's all I know. It also sounds really cool. It sounds maybe a little bit sort of sci-fi-ish as well. Possibly some humor maybe in there. Sounds like a pretty cool writing style. I'm going to give it a try. And the last series I want to mention is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, or Moss, however you say her last name. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, that whole series, and it was fine, it was whatever. But I hear that this one's a lot better. People tell me that it gets better as you go, that like the first book in the series is just kind of like a, little YA book that she wrote when she was really young, but then it gets progressively better. I know there's a lot of the books in the series, but I imagine they read pretty fast. I think it's about a girl that is an assassin, and that's all I know. I can imagine that there's probably going to be romance if it's anything like A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I think it's supposed to be more young adult, whereas Court of Thorns and Roses is even more like sort of new adult or whatever, or just even adult, and like has a lot of romance. So I believe it is like a high fantasy novel though. So those are some of the books. Now there's tons of other books I want to read, don't get me wrong, but those books are the ones that I learned about only on YouTube. Like the only reason I know about them is because of Booktube, and I hear people talk about them nonstop, and I would like to read them. Hopefully in 2021, my goal is to at least read the first book in every series. The series I like, I will continue on with. I don't know, maybe you guys can help me figure out, maybe leave me a comment. Should I read every book series, like all of them? If I like one of them, just power through them all, go ahead and binge them, or should I break them up and like read one of each series and then come back and like read the sequel if I'm interested. I'm always torn because once I'm into a book, maybe I should just keep going with the series so I don't lose interest. But also then I don't want to get burned out on it. So I don't know, it's tricky. But anyway, hopefully you guys have some plans for 2021 as well. And let me know down below what you guys think about the books I'm going to read and what books you want to read in 2021, or if you have discovered any new books only via Booktube like me. So alrighty, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.